Self-Esteem Parenting 10, the fusion of body and soul. We all know that spirituality is our driving force. The Torah tells us, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created heavenliness and earthliness. Our heaviness comes first. Our spirituality leads, informs, guides our physicality. Shamayim ve'es ha'aretz. So why is it, asks the Alter of Slobodka, that in this week's Parsha, in Bereshis, chapter 41, verse 42, the Torah emphasizes the physical. It says, "And Pharaoh removed his ring from his hand and put it on Yosef's hand. He then had him dressed in garments of fine linen and placed a gold chain upon his neck. He also had him ride in his second royal chariot." And so too in Megillah Esther, chapter 8, verse 15, the Torah says, Mordechai left the king's presence dressed in royal apparel of turquoise and white, with a large gold crown and a robe of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan was cheerful and glad. Tzahala v'samecha. Why, asks the Alter, if life is all about spirituality, the soul, why does the Torah emphasize the physical? He answers that man's tzelem Elokim applies not only to his spiritual sense, to his spiritual characteristics and ability, but also in order to access the spirituality, the body is the vehicle. The body is the Merkava, the chariot which carries within it that soul. And therefore Hashem endowed man not only with spirituality, but a housing to house that soul, and that housing is important to carry and to be valued as a kavod to the person. That is the body which is clothing the soul. And therefore when God created a nefesh chaya, a living spirit, he took the golem, the clay, the physicality of man from the earth and imbued it with spirituality. But together, the fusion of body and soul, and the Maharal tells us, the fusion of body and soul, the point where body and soul unite, they connect with each other, that is the real person. That is the self. And therefore, we should not belittle or disregard the body. Rather, we should praise the body. We should elevate the body. We should treat the body with respect as a vehicle for the carrying of the soul. And therefore, when we spiritualize our physicality, when we take our physicality and we elevate it to a higher level, then we are not only experiencing godliness with our spirit, but also with our body. And so too, therefore, when we make Kiddush on Friday nights, Kiddush means to sanctify. We don't take the approach that we avoid the world, that we sit on a mountain and we avoid the world and we don't speak and we take a vow of silence and we avoid wine. Rather, in Judaism, we take the physicality and we elevate it to a higher level. Kiddush. Friday night, we take wine, which could cause us to get drunk. Nichnas yain yatsa sod. In comes the wine and out come the secrets, says the Gemara. In comes the wine and out come the inhibitions, and my inhibitions run wild. I could take that very same wine and I elevate it. And I say, I elevate the physical wine and I sanctify myself by saying, I can take this wine, which could make me drunk, and make it Kiddush. Kiddush means to sanctify the physical and elevate it to a higher level. That's Kiddush. Kiddushin, marriage, is a physical, emotional, spiritual relationship. But I take the marriage, the Kiddush, the physical relationship, and I call it Kiddushin. I call it holy. I take the physical, the emotional relationship, and I elevate it to a higher level. It's called Kiddushin, sanctification. I sanctify the physical and bring it to a higher level. So we take the physical and we elevate it. We allow the soul to elevate the physical. And therefore, that is when we see the Tzelem Elokim in our sinews, in our veins and arteries, in the way the structure of the body is works. Look at my hand. Look at the wonder of the hand, of the eye. We see the greatness of God's wisdom. And therefore we should share with our children the idea that our bodies are so wondrous. And that's how we make the bracha. Baruch atah Hashem rofei kol basar umafli la'asos. And Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Shlita, says the following, that a person who says brachos out loud, and a mother in the house who says brachos out loud, asher yatzar out loud, and makes brachos out loud of shehakol niyah bidvaro, or mizonos out loud, is zocher to have children who are talmidei chachamim. Why? Because she's taking godliness and put it in the physicality, taking the physical of going to the washroom, of eating food, and elevating it, bringing spirituality into every aspect of my life. That is infusing the home with a ruchnius, that the physical is to be elevated and risen to a higher level. So too, when we talk to our children about the wonders, rofei kol basar mafilasos, not to make the bracha as we're walking. Stand still, take 20 seconds and say, Chalulim, chalulim, galui viadu lifnei chisei chavodecha. It's revealed before you. Shim pasech echad mehem, oisasei mechad. If one of those is blocked, I know a young man just got married who had a perforated bowel, and he had 4 or 5 operations, and these functions are taken for granted. And yet, when we lose that function, we have to be able to say, wow, that everyday function is a special, wondrous machine that God created. And when it's operating, my soul can operate. If it's not operating, my soul cannot operate within me. And therefore we have to be conscious of, validate, elevate, be conscious of, and bring our children to awareness that our bodies are important, to be hygienic, to take showers, not because you have to, but because we want to elevate the body. We want to elevate the body to be the vehicle of the soul. And so too, let's look at this incredible symmetry that perhaps you may not have considered. The shoulders are symmetrical and very similar to the hips. The elbows are very similar and aligned symmetrically with the knees. And the wrists are symmetrical with the ankles. What a symmetry! Shoulders and hips, elbows and knees, very similar. Ankles and wrists. Wow, they are a symmetry that God created in the world, which is rofei kol basar mafilasos. When we're making a bracha after going to the washroom, it's not a bracha only of going to the bathroom. It's the entire system of my body, the digestive system, the breathing system, the overall system of the veins and the enzymes and the antibodies going on in my system. Rofei kol basar umafilasos. You heal every kind of physical part of myself. And it's wondrous. Mafilasos, it's a wonder that you do this. This is an opportunity for us to bring a self-esteem awareness to our children, that you have value in you, you have greatness in you, you have the symmetry of God within you, you have a tselem Elokim within you, in your body and your soul. In this fashion, this is why the Alter says that God is sanctifying, is referring to the physical dimensions of Mordechai, the physical dimensions of Yosef HaTzadik, because he wants us to stress and to understand that the body is the housing of the soul. And when we value it, when we appreciate it, when we take notice of it, are conscious of it, then together with the soul, they walk together. Shamayim va'aretz, spirituality and physicality. And that is a wonder that we can build up the self-esteem of our children and ourselves, saying, I have been imbued with the physicality and the spirituality that together, they fuse together to be able to use them together to be an Eved Hashem, to be a servant of God.